My name is Bridgette Hylton, and I'm here with Sanam Zaer, as well as Jean McMurray, the CEO of the Worcester County Food Bank. We're so excited to be here today. We're going to ask Jean to introduce herself quickly. We'll do our random question, and then we're going to get a tour of the Worcester County Food Bank. So, Jean?
Hello, I'm Jean McMurray, CEO of the Worcester County Food Bank, and a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to our time together.
We can start off with our random questions. So I don't have my usual generator. So today's question is going to be, what is something that you're wearing right now that's meaningful to you? So I don't know who wants to go first.
I'll
You
go
wanna first?
no,
All
sure.
right.
So I am wearing my grandmother's engagement ring that it's from 1917, and she gave it to me actually after she passed away. She left it to me. I was only 10 years old at the time, and then my mother wouldn't give it to me until I was about 40. But it's very meaningful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. For me, I'll say a less expensive piece of jewelry. I'm wearing some ankle bracelets. I don't know if they're in the shot, but my sister had originally got me this exact set of ankle bracelets for my big birthday. I won't say which one it was. And when she had her big birthday, mine were all destroyed, so she bought them for me again. So it just makes me really happy that I can have that little, thing that I think of her, and it's just a nice thing to have.
Nice. So these earrings that I'm wearing, when we were in France recently, we went to this rural town and found this tiny shop that my kids got kind of lured into because they had a puppy. And it was this very quirky store, and he was selling trinkets and kind of stuff from medieval times, like weapons and stuff. And then in the basement, he had kind of this place that he said was an old dungeon from medieval times, and it was just a very quirky store. But anyway, his wife made earrings, so I purchased earrings from her, and every time I wear them, I remember it was such a cool experience. I love people that like have this passion about something, even if it's, quirky and not necessarily mainstream. But he had this shop, he loved it, and his wife loved making this jewelry, and they had a cute puppy that my kids really liked too. So
Awesome.
win win win.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to try to speak in our outside voices because we recognize that it's a little loud here at the food bank. We're going to go ahead and get started on our tour. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jean, and she's going to guide us through the building.
Sure, great. Well, thank you so much. So where we are standing is the agency distribution floor, and you can't see it, but we can. We're facing them. We have some agencies who are here this morning picking up food. We distribute food to 108 agencies all throughout Worcester County, mostly food pantries and meal programs. And altogether, we are assisting an average of 2,500 people every single day. And we're distributing enough food every single day for over 21,000 meals. And I know we'll be talking about the cuts that we experienced from the United States Department of Agriculture in a moment. But I want to just explain that in Massachusetts, there are 4 regional food banks, and each one of us has our own regional network of agencies. There's the Greater Boston Food Bank, the Merrimack Valley Food Bank, the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts, and us. And we are part of a national network of food banks called Feeding America. And in the United States, there are about 200 food banks altogether. And I would say that we pretty much do more or less the same type of work. But, you visit one food bank, you're visiting one food bank. So I encourage anyone when you're traveling to go visit the food bank and see what they do. But I want to make sure that people are welcome to come and visit us here at the Worcester County Food Bank. We love giving tours. So as we make our way around, most of our food comes from 3 primary sources. The United States Department of Agriculture, which is a federal program. We receive some financial support from the USDA, but most of it comes in the form of food. And right here, this is where all of that USDA product that we receive would be. But that's what was cut. 18% of our food deliveries from USDA for May through August were cut. So the food bank decided we had to buy some food because we need every ounce of food that's available because our agencies are serving many more people than ever before. Between this year and last year, the need has gone up about 21%. And our resources were already stretched thin before those USDA cuts. So now what's replaced the USDA is what you can see there. It's purchased product. And we try to have a focus on nutritious food, not just quantity, but quality. So you can see we're looking at some brown rice. Let's see, we got a lot of beans, a lot of non-meat proteins, tuna, and mandarin oranges. I won't go down the whole list, but you can see we spent, by the time that all of our purchasing is done, it will be close to $500,000. The board of directors decided to take some funds that we had and set it aside for a contingency. So we did that last fall, and then the contingency needed to be enacted once we heard that our cuts were going to be taking place.
So would that be an annual expenditure then to replace the?
No, because we normally do not purchase food. All the food that you see, except for here, it's all donated.
Okay.
I hope we don't see any more cuts,
Okay.
but we don't know. Another big looming concern is what's going to happen to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, because the Federal House Agriculture Committee has come out with a markup of a bill that would cut over $300 billion in SNAP benefits over 10 years. And if that happens, I don't know what we will do. I don't know what any food bank will do, because none of us can make up that kind of gap. Yeah.
So I actually have a question. You mentioned that the food you lost you had to purchase. How long is that sustainable for you?
That's the big question, because if we're spending $500,000 like every 2 months, it can quickly add up.
Oh, the $500,000 was only for 2 months?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
yes.
I assumed it was longer than that.
No, yes,
Wow.
it goes out very quickly. It used to be that we always had a significant amount of food here that agencies could come and choose, and now you can see, we've got some gaps. The food is going out as quickly as it's coming in. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah.
So it sounds like this is the main holding floor for donations that are coming in or for the purchased product. What about food that's donated by individuals in the community? Where would that be? We haven't gotten there yet? Okay, sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
No, it's great. It's all good questions. So, the food over here, this is what is funded by the state government, and that's known as the Massachusetts Emergency Food Assistance Program. That's the only food we receive that comes in every single month. Okay. And during the pandemic, that was a comfort, because there was such uncertainty, but we knew we would have some food coming in every month. And then, the federal government really stepped up and gave us a lot more food. So what we're experiencing right now with these cuts is nothing like we've ever experienced before. Straight ahead of us is where we have all of our frozen product. So we would have a lot of frozen protein, whether it's meat, chicken, fish, as well as frozen pasta, any kind of frozen vegetables. And then over there is our cooler, and that's where we would have cheese, milk, eggs. So while I know it looks like we have a lot of non-perishable food that we're distributing, and we do, the top food item that we distribute is fresh produce. We have wonderful partnerships with local farmers that donate, and then you may have heard of the Community Harvest Project in North Grafton. So they grow fruits and vegetables and donate that 100%, and we're one of their largest recipients. So we're very, very fortunate in that way. So we're going to keep going.
So I think one of the concerns when it comes to federal cuts to these programs is that some of that fresh produce, those fresh foods that we know are more healthy for children who are growing and everyone might be the first things on the chopping block, because those are things that tend to be more expensive than canned goods or pastas and things like that. What is something that you guys are planning to do to maybe, keep those partnerships with local farmers? Is it going to be changing maybe the supply chain, talking to the donors like Stop and Shop and other organizations that are partners to see if we can maintain some of those more healthy options?
Well, we're all about quality here, as I said. So we want to be providing good, nutritious food for people to support their health. So all of the retailers that you just mentioned, they are already donors, and they distribute that food directly to our partner agencies. It used to be that the food bank would go and pick it up and bring it back here, but now there's the model to make it efficient and effective. So we match a local food pantry with the local store, and they go pick it up and bring it right back. So they are getting the perishable items, those things that tend to be the healthiest of all. So where we are now is where the food first arrives, and it looks like we've got a delivery. Let's see what that is. Yeah. Looks like it's Quaker oatmeal. Believe it or not, people love to eat oatmeal year round. And I love it myself. But as we were walking in here, you could see we passed some, I think it was potatoes, some onions. I don't know if you can smell it, but it's got a nice scent to it. So this is where our food arrives. The food bank does have 3 refrigerated trucks, so we are going out and picking up food, bringing it back here. We're also taking some of the food that we have here and delivering it to our partner agencies, mostly that fresh produce, because we don't want that to just sit here, because it's losing quality, and we want to get that back out into the community as much as possible. So back to your question about the USDA cuts and things. So through USDA, we don't actually get a lot of fresh produce. It's mostly the frozen and the non-perishable. But we have been talking with our community through our letters, through I had a newspaper guest column in the Telegram the other day, and we're trying to make sure that we're getting the word out, and hopefully our donors will step up and donate more product if possible. But the supermarket industry has very tight margins, and because food prices are high, they are, I'm sure they're seeing their business impacted. So this is not just a food bank issue; it's a local economy issue. And but I think, I hope that we've been good partners and that we will continue to work well together. But I think there's just so much uncertainty looming going forward with the federal government.
I have a question. So when you receive donations from individuals or groups in the community, is it generally easier for you when they donate product or when they donate money?
We always used to say money, because for every dollar that's donated to the Worcester County Food Bank, we can distribute $4 worth of donated food. So that dollar goes a lot further than if you took it to the supermarket. But we understand that people like to have something tangible. And just was it last Saturday or the Saturday before, we had the big annual letter carriers food drive, where people just leave the food wherever their mail is delivered, and their letter carrier will pick it up and deliver it to the nearest food pantry. So for Shrewsbury, we received all of the donations. I mean, we have a local partner at St. Anne's Church. That's the food pantry for Shrewsbury, but they couldn't open on Saturday to receive the donations. So we accept them here. And it was about 17,000 pounds of food, which is great. And I can show you. So to answer your question, we think it's nice that people have choice. So if you want to donate food, that's great. If you want to donate money, that's fine too. So all along here, these were full of food. You can see this one's empty. This one's being worked on. But these are our volunteer stations. And what our volunteers do is they take an empty, they're called banana boxes, and they sort the food by category because we want to make it as user friendly for our agencies when they come to pick up food. For example, if you're a breakfast program, you may come in look just for cereal. You don't want to have to go through lots of boxes going, well, where's the cereal? So after the boxes are full of product, they label them, what's inside, as well as the date and the volunteers' initials, so that if they have any questions, if there's, maybe a quality issue, we can say, well, is there initial? And then we know we might need to do some quality retraining. But it's a great system. It works very well. We have very few food safety concerns, and that's a testament to our volunteers, to our agencies. And I would like to add at this point that, because I didn't do it earlier, most of our agencies are faith-based, and they have no paid staff whatsoever, 100% volunteers. So that just tells you how committed and dedicated people are to doing this, to help their neighbors.
So you mentioned that there's the drive that's run through the U.S. Postal Service. You said that's national. That's wonderful. Are there any local drives to either fundraise or collect food on a local level other than that drive that you mentioned?
So there's a couple. That's a great question. When Stop and Shop was up the street here, it's now closed, but they used to do what we call an in-store food drive. So customers, as they're checking out, if they purchase something on their way out the door, they could leave it in a big bin, and then our truck would go over and pick that up. That still happens, from time to time at other supermarket chains. But we're very fortunate in that people, organizations will do events for us, and we don't have to do a lot of the planning and implementation, but we'll help spread the word, either on social media. A lot of times we get invited to go and say a few words of thanks, how this event is helping us. But we also try to direct people to our local partners because, I'll give you an example. Somebody from Fitchburg calls and says, we want to do something to benefit the Worcester County Food Bank, and we'll say thank you. But do you know that there are 5 food pantries in Fitchburg? And they'll go, I didn't know. So I'll say, I would love to have that event support those pantries in Fitchburg, because if local people are going to the event, it's important for them to know that support is staying local. So not everything has to happen here. We always say if you help one of our partners, you're helping us. And if you're helping the Worcester County Food Bank, you're actually helping 108 agencies. So again, donors have a choice.
So I know that you mentioned that there's some local food pantries here in Shrewsbury. I think you mentioned St. Anne's Church. Is that right? Are there other food pantries? We know about the community fridge. It's something that our organization has been involved in. But are there other food pantries here in town that people should be aware of?
So there is a food pantry at the Shrewsbury Senior Center. And I think they're the ones that might operate the community fridge. And so a lot of times when people contact us, whether it's by phone or email, or sometimes people will visit us. If they're from Shrewsbury, we give them the information about all of the resources. We'll also ask them if they're receiving SNAP. And if they're not, we can refer them to an agency that can help them apply. We talk about Meals on Wheels, fuel assistance, the free school meals. Every child in the state of Massachusetts has access to free breakfast and lunch, regardless of income. And just to make another note, a lot of times people will come here thinking that we're just a large food pantry, and they might come from several towns over. So job number 1 is give them good information on what the resources are closest to where they live, and then do a quick assessment about other resources and try to connect them. Because usually a food pantry isn't going to be able to meet all their needs. Just like SNAP benefits are not going to be able to meet all their needs. So we want to try to help people put all of the pieces together.
I have a quick question. You mentioned that you had gotten several cuts from the federal level. I was wondering if you've noticed any shortage of volunteers or donors as well on top of that, or how has that been impacted?
No, that's a great question. So we're very fortunate. We have about 25 dedicated volunteers who actually come on a regular basis. They come the same day, the same time frame every week, and help sort the food. They're very dedicated. We actually get a lot of requests from people who want to volunteer, but we just don't have enough food for them to sort. Because at one time, food banks were completely dependent like on food drives, and so we needed a lot of volunteers. And now most of the food that's coming in doesn't need to be sorted, like the food from the federal government, the food from the state government, even the purchased product. We don't break down all those cases and look at every single can. But when we get food from a food drive, we have to look at the cans, the boxes. We have to look for expiration dates. We have to look for anything that could impact the packaging. Is it crushed? Are there, I'm trying to pull out a can. This is glass. We want to make sure that it's not chipped or anything. So there's a lot of evaluation that goes into it, but we just don't have large food drives like this on a regular basis. We did send out with all of our thank you letters for like the past year, telling or asking people first, thank you for your support. And if you can consider doing another food drive for us, or 2 or 3 throughout the year, we would really appreciate it because the need is there.
So you mentioned something that was of interest at the Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, May 19th, 2025 town meeting, and that was the free lunches that are provided and breakfasts that are provided to all students in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, free of cost, subsidized by the state of Massachusetts. Have you seen an impact since that program was implemented on families that may be using the food pantry? Can you talk a little bit about the human side of that so that people can understand how important that program is at keeping hunger at bay?
Sure. That was a huge win. During the pandemic, the federal government made all meals for all children in the country free. And then as the pandemic started to sort of wind down, here in Massachusetts, a group of advocates said, that has a huge impact on families of all sizes, of all backgrounds. I think the estimate is that it saves a family upwards of like $1,200 or $1,400 a year. So you have a couple of kids, that adds up. And so, those are resources that families can use towards school clothes or school supplies. So we have heard from families that they are grateful. Their kids love the meals. And it's really making a difference. It's helping those families to stretch their household budgets that much further.
Could you talk a little bit, and then we can continue the tour, certainly. Could you talk a little bit about someone who may need to utilize the services that you guys provide here? What's the best way for them to access the food? Is it through those local pantries? Can they walk in the door and pick up food here? What's the best way?
So the best way for people to access food is to do one of 2 things. You can go to our website, which is foodbank.org, and we have a food finder. It's a link. You just click on it. It will ask you for your zip code, and it will do a search. And you can do a 10-mile search. I think it goes up to 50 miles. And it will show all the different pantries, the addresses, phone numbers, the hours of distribution. And we think that's user-friendly for those that have access. People can certainly call us or email us, and we will do it with them over the phone or on the computer. And then if they come here, we do an assessment. If their local pantry isn't open for a couple of days or whatever, we will give them food because we can't have anybody going without. We've got a warehouse full of food. So that's actually in the past has been like a volunteer project or a staff project where we keep boxes of food made up in advance. And then what we would do is we would go to our cooler and freezer and pull the fresh and the frozen food for them. And all we ask is how many people in your family and do you have any allergies? We don't ask for IDs. We don't ask for documentation, none of that. We feel if you're presenting and asking for help, then that's real. Yeah.
I had a follow-up question to something we were discussing earlier. You had mentioned that you guys had spent $500,000 on food and that's not sustainable for your organization. Have you guys talked about what it would look like if these cuts are permanent, at least for the next few years? What would that look like for organizations looking for food, people looking for food?
Well, I think that's why we're fighting so hard right now to not have that happen. The cuts would not go into effect until 2028. I think the federal fiscal year of 2028. So, and we could have the midterm. Well, we will definitely have midterm elections, so there's still a possibility that something that gets passed now could be changed at that point. But it's unlike anything we've seen before. I mean, we try to think about it, but it's so overwhelming because, and I'll give you an example. So during the pandemic, the federal government stepped up and gave every family that received SNAP benefits what they called an emergency allotment because it was a crisis. And those federal pandemic era SNAP extra allotment payments ended on March 2023. Overnight, 79,000 families 79,000 families in Worcester County lost $12.4 million. That was monthly. So that's when we started to see a big increase in the people going to a pantry because that was a tangible benefit. They took that to the supermarket. So that's $12.4 million that supermarkets lost. And I don't think we've ever recovered from that. So I believe SNAP brings into Massachusetts $2 billion every year. So if those SNAP cuts go through, that's going to have a huge impact, certainly on the people that need the nutritional benefit. But it's going to impact supermarket retailers. It's going to impact tax revenue to the state, which is used to pay things, fund schools, give grants to towns for police, whatever. There's going to be this ripple effect. And that's why we're asking everyone. You may think that this does not impact you because you may not receive SNAP benefit, but it will impact you because it's going to impact the tax revenue of our local economy and our state economy.
So could you tell us a little bit about which items are actually most helpful for people to donate?
Sure. So believe it or not, we have made a concerted effort to ask people to donate things like spices. Because when we distribute rice or potatoes or any kind of fresh produce, people can take the spices and make it like what they're culturally used to. Something as small as that. I didn't know that before. So, and so spices are great. Every other thing is so welcome, like cereal. I know peanut butter, but as we are heading into the summer months, kids will be out of school, so peanut butter for sandwiches. A lot of the canned protein is great, whether it's chicken or tuna. What else? We don't really collect. Well, if people want to drop off fresh produce, they can, but those aren't things that we normally collect at a food drive. But basically, whatever your family likes, there's a good chance that there's other families out there. So, but I would say we really do focus on things that are quality. So if you want to give us even like fruits or vegetables that are in a can, we look for low sodium, low sugar, things like that. This is one of our wonderful volunteers, John.
Hi, John. Bridgette Hylton. Nice to meet you. Hi, Bob. Nice to meet you, Bridgette. Thank you so much, both of you, for what you're doing.
And Stephen.
Hi, Stephen. How are you?
This is a group from a program called Better Shrewsbury.
Nice to meet you. Okay.
Yeah. So John and Bob were doing the non-perishable food sorting, and Stephen does the frozen meat, which requires more sensitivity and attention to food safety, and that's why the product that Stephen is sorting is kept under this freezer blanket so that it doesn't start to defrost, right? And then as soon as he's done with a certain amount, it goes right back into the freezer so that it can go out to our agencies. This is our volunteer break room. It's just nice to have a little place for the volunteers to take a break. And
They're lovely. I mean, it's just such a nice touch, and it brightens it up.
so we worked with a student from Clark University who painted these, I'm going to say maybe close to 10 years ago. But when we have check presentations or some type of presentation, we always take it in front of this because it is a nice, colorful backdrop. And then when we were up at the agency distribution area, we had something similar. I think it's like a bit of a farm scene. So yeah, just add some color, because otherwise it is, it's a warehouse. This is not a very glamorous place. It's a working warehouse, and we're very focused on getting good food in and getting good food out to our neighbors who need it.
My question was about, we talked a little bit about the food cycle in this country, right? So that if the SNAP benefits are pulled back, then that minimizes or increases the need for the food banks. It also, with the other USDA cuts, is minimizing the amount of food that's coming into the food banks. And I think we all know that there's other changes happening at the federal level that may impact the price of food. So for those of us who may be inclined to give food to this organization, that cost is also going up. So there's a full cycle almost challenge coming towards food banks like this one. And so I think with that, I just want to encourage people that, like she said, the dollars matter, the food matters. That this is something that is, it's almost a full-on assault. And so we in our community have a responsibility, in my understanding, my moral belief, to feed families, especially families with children and the elderly in our community who may otherwise go without.
Well said. And, we also talk about our veterans, people with disabilities. You mentioned senior citizens, older adults, who worked hard all their life and now living on a fixed income. And, whether you rent or own a home, rent goes up, taxes go up. I would say, in addition to the food matters, the financial donations matter, advocacy matters. And I want to ask everyone to go to the Project Bread website, just called projectbread.org. There you can sign up to receive action alerts that are already made for you, written for you. All you have, you can tweak it if you like, but they send it to you whenever there's something that's urgent, and you with a click of your mouse, it goes to all of your elected officials. I can't stress enough how much advocacy matters. Legislators at the local, state, federal level have told us that if they get 5 phone calls or 5 emails, they go, I got to pay attention to this. So never underestimate the power of, our voices. It does matter, and we have to be louder than ever before. As a matter of fact, just before you arrived, I was sending the advocacy action alert for this week to our agency relations manager, and he was going to be sending it out to all of our 108 agencies. And what we ask people to do, too, is, we're very fortunate here in Massachusetts. We have a wonderful state government and a federal delegation to Washington, D.C. They still need to hear from us, like Congressman McGovern. He's our champion, but he's always encouraging us. Contact your friends and family in other states and say, you do the same thing with your elected officials. No one state can combat what's happening. We all have to have this united front. So I encourage everyone, call your friends and family in other states and say, please get in touch with your elected officials and say, increasing food insecurity by making cuts to food assistance programs is wrong, and it's wrong especially if it's going to make other people wealthier.
You're speaking our language. So with that, I think we would just want to say thank you so much to you, to the entire team at the Worcester County Food Bank and all the other food banks throughout the state and throughout the country, all 200 of them, for the work that they do in keeping people fed. So thank you for your dedication, and to all the volunteers.
Well, thank you. Thank you for helping us to raise this awareness. And, I say thank you to all the people, the residents, businesses, and officials of Shrewsbury. We love Shrewsbury as our home. We've been here since 1997, well, in this facility, and it's a very warm welcome that we receive every single day from the town. So thank you.
We'd also like to invite anyone to donate to the Worcester County Food Bank. The link will be right in front of me. So yeah, as she mentioned, the financial donations go a really long way.
Yep. And I like to let folks know that not one person has to do it all. We each just have to do our part, and by doing that, it all adds up. So everyone that gives to the food bank with food or money, they get the same thank you letter. It doesn't matter the size of your gift. It's that you're giving, and it does all add up to make what we do here possible. So, never underestimate what you're doing.